Welcome back to the show, everybody. Today, a report on the wacky situation with Dark and Darker. And this truly is a strange one. Steam Next Fest saw this game's demo absolutely surge to the top. People absolutely loved it. Since then, though, it's been a chaotic and dramatic roller coaster that now has actually seen a fair few players kind of turn against the dev. So here's what's happened. Dark and Darker, the dungeon-crawling PvPvE extraction game that set Steam on fire earlier this year, has actually released. And this is, of course, after all of the legal stuff with Nexon. The thing is, though, it did not release on Steam. Instead, these ongoing legal troubles over potential copyright infringement and employee malpractice have meant that it is still not actually on Steam. They want the game to get onto Steam eventually, but Valve's traditional position in this sort of thing is that whenever they receive any kind of challenge, they just leave it up to the parties involved to figure it out, and they won't take any action. So there'll be nothing with Steam until all the legal stuff is done with. Now, obviously, this would create a problem for the developer Iron Mace, who now have got to find a store that's actually willing to publish their game, and that's in spite, of course, of whatever legal risks. And that is where things got odd, because they have partnered with a South Korean store and publisher, Shaft Games. And this is where it's odd, because they've partnered as both publisher and distributor of the game. Now, they're not necessarily known outside of the Korean territory, which did cause some concern and confusion for Western PC audience who, broadly speaking, unless it's a very big publisher or is Steam, they'll be suspicious. But what's actually happened is that what should have been a somewhat triumphant release of a game that was hotly anticipated after it faced down legal struggles from a group that have an ungodly amount of money, they did not get the launch that they wanted. Okay, it launched with multiple editions and microtransactions with the form of a premium currency, which a lot of people didn't see coming. Also, regular issues. Servers crashed, purchases sometimes went through twice or just not at all, and game downloads were unstable. It was also revealed by Iron Mace on Discord that they were unable to release in their native territory of South Korea because they could not get the game rated by the local ratings board, and additionally, in-game VoIP could not be enabled because the end-user license agreement around player interactions isn't actually ready yet. Now, those issues regarding the launcher stability and the payments were fixed, right, within the day. And, Iron Mace and Shaft were processing all, duplicate purchase refunds automatically. They were offering refunds unconditionally for anybody who regretted their purchase, which is absolutely the right thing to do. But that was not the end of their problems. So, when installing the launcher for the game from Iron Mace's site, a lot of antivirus software started flagging it as a Trojan, right? So we were getting false positives there. And people on Reddit, of course, were doing, breakdowns of why this was happening. But the problem then is, if you tried to, use the built-in uninstaller, it would get quite trigger-happy, and it would delete the entire directory that the game was installed to. Quite a problem. Now, per Iron Mace, they were confident they would be able to resolve this, and it won't impact people any further on either side of the launcher. But it basically does mean that overall they had problems buying the game, installing the game, playing the game, and deleting the game. So just about every point of interacting with the game was an issue. Though, obviously, perhaps this is not an unexpected thing because of a very large surge of responses given, the drama, which meant that everybody knows about this game, and how it was, I guess, launching in a store that, maybe wasn't used to it. Kind of hard to say. But I think what really raised eyebrows, what sent my eyebrows upwards on my face, was microtransactions. Yeah, people weren't particularly thrilled about this, and of course, considering the way that the community's been very feral for this game, they're wanting to support Iron Mace because of this big David versus Goliath, narrative going on. It's almost been the moral imperative, right, to help out these developers. They are being attacked by big angry Nexon with its big Nexon legal bat. Many pointed back to words in Iron Mace's website that said, "We're a merry band of veteran game developers disillusioned by the exploitative and greedy practices we once helped create." So when there's microtransactions on their store, some people feel more than a little betrayed, right? We have posts here, and again, these aren't small posts, 609 upvotes in the subreddit, just shy of 1,000 for another one. It's insane how quickly the narrative has shifted on the game in Iron Mace in less than a day. Why defend anti-consumer behavior? Now, this is something that was addressed by the CEO, Terrence Park, in a statement when the store was announced. So let's read that statement. Our assumption when we started this company was that you could still build a lucrative business while being true to your fans. The in-game shop is our attempt at being realistic with the business of running an online game, but trying to find a way to do it without resorting to random loot boxes and FOMO items. However, they do say that this will be part of early access. What the shop looks like, whether it's fair, that is a part of the early access, idea, so the shop will be iterated on based on feedback from players. They also have got 2 Founders Editions for the game, retailing at $50 as an additional way to show some more support, and that has been received more favorably. So ultimately then, Iron Mace are in a position that's quite tricky, right? It's going to be hard for even the most ambitious of independent developers. They've got to pay their staff, their costs, ongoing development, but most indie devs are not also fighting an expensive legal battle against one of the largest companies in gaming, who literally were able to prevent the developer from selling their game for months. This is longer than the studio intended. And again, here's the thing about Steam, right? That a lot of you guys, I don't want to say you don't know, but you won't appreciate in the same way that somebody who's actually published a game on Steam will appreciate. I've got the experience of publishing a game. It's called The Pale Beyond, blah, 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 link in the description, etc. Yes, if you are just wondering in here, we're also a game development studio. So, when I look at a lot of the sales for Pale Beyond, a lot of that is from you guys. But as an example, we get a daily deal. I did a video about that. We get a daily deal, and in the stage of a day, we get 1,000 sales. There's 3,000 sales anyway. We get a bunch of sales of the game, and that's really great. That traffic came from the Steam homepage. It didn't come from YouTube, right? So being on Steam is important. We have, 180,000 wish lists for the Pale Beyond. And anytime that your game drops to a lower discount level than it's ever been at before, everyone who's wishlisted the game gets a notification. Whenever on Steam you get a notification saying the game you wishlisted has came out or, is on sale, that's a lot of people. And this is a game that topped Next Fest. So yes, they can make some money now, but the number of people who will actually convert into caring about them as a developer or keeping up with the story is vanishingly small. A lot of people will have just wishlisted the game, moved on with their day. Now, all that's gone. That is a humongous loss, right? Humongous. Steam is more important than most people can appreciate. In that, when you see, oh, that's how our game sold, it's you kind of appreciate what actually goes on in Steam. So then, the class divide. Dark and Darker already retails for $35, so from the player perspective, that does represent a solid investment in a game. It's asking for an initial buy-in to get the game that is an early access game. So, in theory then, in a game like this, you'd be able to, grind the in-game currency, unlock the new classes, and do all of that. But what if a game is actually playing a little bit more like a free-to-play in terms of an unlock like this? Because if the way in which players can access classes is reasonable, it doesn't feel bad. But this, friends, is not one of those situations. And I think this is where Iron Mace is, the way they've done things, it has went beyond initial shock and surprise and into genuine, oh no, this is not good. People have worked out that it ends up being a very significant time investment to be able to afford a class. Here's somebody saying, with a 20% average survival rate and the average game lasting 12 minutes for the last playtest, that means it's going to take the average player 1,800 games or 360 hours to unlock one class. That's a lot of hours. This then means, that if the developer, say, sells a shortcut to unlock a class that only costs $10, that's pretty damn tempting. I mean, $10 for 360 hours. Time is money, friend. Yeah. Now, the optics of this whole thing were slightly muddled when we look at Iron Mace's situation, because per their previous comments, Dark and Darker was originally supposed to launch with 6 classes. Anything past that point would be downloadable content. Obviously, though, the launch was delayed while work on the new classes continued. And that meant that by the time the game actually came out, those classes were ready to be added to the game. So, if they've been costed for development based on being paid DLC, then it leaves Iron Mace in somewhat of a dilemma as to how they release them. The DLC is sitting right there, and it could be making them the money that they need to keep the lights on, especially in the context of not being on Steam and legal bullshit. So continuing on with their plan does make sense in that situation. However, though, from the player's perception, it maybe will feel like money grabbing. That means it may not be the best idea. But fortunately, though, Iron Mace have actually listened and they have changed their plans per PC Gamer's reporting. Their CEO was warning people in Discord not to purchase the class microtransaction, while also he was detailing they'll be working on a solution to make things right. And that means it's unclear whether they will be offering refunds. I actually imagine they will, just based on how they reacted previously to launch day messes. Whether people will be keeping the classes unlocks or just exactly whatever, making things right actually means. Now it's finally making some money back, even if it's irritating people. This maybe can be a lifeline for those developers. Over in Nexon, of course, they have Dave the Diver's money coming in. I'm sure their coffers are refilling from that. And, all the things they do that actually make boatloads of money, because Dave the Diver's still a small game in comparison to, I imagine, what a big Nexon project makes. But, of course, Iron Mace are not in quite a, big chest full of cash sort of way. So we're going to need to see how that goes. If they can continue on and get past their legal battles, then the Steam market awaits. And if I assume their store page has just been taken down, if it's restored, I guess their wish list should still be there. That'll be important for them. There's a lot of money in that. A wish list is a very big asset. I mean, you guys wouldn't, if you don't work in business M&A, which I don't, but here's a good example. Sometimes whole businesses are acquired because of connections they have to other businesses and databases of customers. Yeah, if someone has a database of, 60,000 customers, and that business gets acquired, rolled into another business that can then add their products to the same, to a similar offering to those 60,000 customers, then that ends up actually being a situation where people will pay a friggin' boatload of money. Not for the team, just for perhaps the product and even just the database, right? So, whenever we talk about assets in a business, it's not just capital investment. It's not just team and experience. It's also data. Now, I have a final thing. I just put it in the doc here as just WTF, because here's a new game coming out in Steam, everyone. It's called Dark. Dive into Dark, a 3D multiplayer medieval fantasy that blends dungeon crawling with battle royale. Customize your hero, explore treacherous dungeons, and engage in strategic battles. What? This game's coming out in Q3 2023. And we can see here it's playtest teaser video. Does this look like Dark and Darker to you? We're probably not seeing similar levels of polish or anything, but what in the bloody hell's going on here? Because, if we have Nexon who are angry over Dark and Darker, now we have a game called Dark, so now is it going to be, Nexon sue Iron Mace for Dark and Darker, and then Dark and Darker sue Dark for Dark and Darker, and then it all just gets crazy. This is coming from developer and publisher JGRAG. What? What's going on? What is this? What's happening? And as we continue, it's like we've entered a crazy hallucination. MMO, PvP, co-op, Steam achievements, full blah blah blah. Look at this, the twisted and treacherous world of Dark. Key features, PvP and PvE combat, expansive character customization, dynamic dungeon environments, competitive leaderboards, and what is going on? I don't know. Nobody knows. But this appeared in Steam. What the hell does it mean? Didn't mean for that to rhyme. Actually, let's press through the demonetized word 1 and 2 and view the community hub. What's going on in the community hub? We have, yo, this looks dope. Scam or not scam, though? Scam confirmed. Please report this scam. This is as of, the 22nd of July. Is this Dark without the Darker? Title says it all. It's a scam. The guy asked twice for money to get some support, promised the second time playtest will be open. So shady things, personally, I no longer trust. Scam Lamau, how to get access. I want to try this. Are people confused? What's going on? Yes, anyway, absolutely bizarre. Don't go anywhere near this with money or anything. It seems really fishy. What a thoroughly bizarre and tiresome situation. Let me know what you think, especially if you've actually purchased Dark and Darker. With that, I'll see you in the next video.